What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day so far. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. You can follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. Check out my website for all my music, news analysis, and contact links at legendary.vision. And I'm going to wait about 20 more seconds for people to get into this live stream and talk about a topic that still a lot of people seem to be missing. I think more and more people are waking up to this fact, but I want to really break it down, what's been going on over the past week or 2 weeks, what's been going on over the past month, what's been going on over the past year, and most importantly, what's been going on over the past 10, 20, 30, and potentially our entire lives. So give me about 10 more seconds. When I'm done, I'm going to post my link to my email list. If you'd like to sign up, it's free, it's easy, it takes like a couple seconds. Please do that. What's going on, Edgar? What's going on, Scott? You guys, like, I put up a little pillow there, try to edge up the vibe a little bit, make it a little more professional. Got the nice little checkered pattern, but okay, now that people are in, I want to talk about a topic that just is so obvious to me. I say this all the time because I want to reach out to people who, don't like Donald Trump so much and who think he's the worst thing in the world. I'm just being honest. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. When he got into office, I was a little nervous. I was like, man, this is scary. Like, this guy's kind of wild. He's a wild card. He's yelling all these things that I don't necessarily agree with. He's, mean. He's a little bit edgy, whatever. But over the last year, I've come to the conclusion many, many times, Donald Trump is the distraction. And what brought me to this point was analyzing the news every single day, keeping an open mind, reading every single thing that they're saying about Donald Trump, every single scandal, every single tweet, every single mistake, every single nasty thing he said to somebody that I don't agree with. Even all of those, I'm listening to them, I'm reading the hater news, I'm reading the CNNs and the Washington Post and the New York Times, the MSNBCs. All of the stuff that they're accusing him of after a year of investigation doesn't even add up to 1/100th or even 1/1000th of the crimes and corruption and basically world destruction that the past politicians have done. And in this video, I'm going to go through almost every single thing they're accusing him of and be like, yeah, maybe that's not that good, but they're guilty of times 30. And until people realize this, we're going to keep getting taken advantage of. We're going to keep getting used. We're going to keep getting divided by race, religion, and gender and ideas, little minor switches in ideology. We're going to keep letting them control us because it's just so obvious. I want to start first with the whole Russia investigation, the whole Russia scandal. Before the election even happened, Donald Trump said, hey, I'm going to, instead of trying to start a war with Russia, Hillary Clinton in Syria was going for a regime change war. In Libya, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's regime change war, they killed Gaddafi, and now there's currently slave trading in Libya, there's organ harvesting in Libya, there's jihadist, extremist terrorists taking over in Libya thanks to their regime change war. They wanted to do the same thing in Syria, and Hillary Clinton was so strong about this regime change war, which has literally led to slavery. Yes, real slavery exists today because of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, and nobody's talking about it. That's not the bombshell story. I mean, obviously, they're lying to us on multiple levels, but they were trying to do the same thing in Syria. And Russia had stepped in to help Syria, among other people, and Hillary Clinton was saying, you know what, if Russia tries to do this, we're going to shoot down Russian aircrafts, we're going to put a no-fly zone in Syria, and we're going to shoot down anyone who comes even near. So she basically said in her campaign speech, while everyone's like, whoa, it's about a woman and a man, it's women's rights, and, people of color and Latinos, and Hillary Clinton, it's like, no, that was a lie from the entire beginning. I'm not saying that Donald Trump's perfect or he said the right things, but Hillary wanted to shoot down Russian aircrafts in Syria, and Donald Trump said, hey, I don't want to kill the leader of Syria. I want to stop this whole regime change war, which now we found out led to literal slavery in Libya, slave trading, organ harvesting, the sales of human beings. It's disgusting stuff. Donald Trump wanted to put an end to that. So as soon as he wins, all of a sudden they come out with this huge Russia thing, and it's like, oh, how convenient for them that they want to say he's colluding with Russia just because he wants to not shoot down Russian aircrafts and start a whole regime change war, which has led to the destruction of many different states. So already that's one of the most progressive things a candidate's ever done. It showed me that no matter how nasty and wrong Donald Trump may be on some issues, he's outside of the standard military-industrial complex. Is he a pacifist like Ron Paul? Is he a peace activist? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's not dropping bombs. I'm not saying he's not making mistakes. But he's outside of the normal military-industrial complex, which is very, very important. So right as the election happens, they say, oh, well, Russia, he colluded with Russia. And they still, after a whole year of investigations, they have no proof of any collusion with Russia. And I'm going to break that down exactly what happened. And this isn't going to be conspiracy theories. This isn't going to be, oh my goodness, like you made that up. This is mainstream news. They put it out there. They put the lie very big. And then they just assume that most people are so stupid that they won't put the pieces together. And most people are. So it works effectively and has worked for a long time. They said that Russia hacked the election and changed votes. It was a total lie. The only people that actually tried to hack into the election was Homeland Security. In one of the states, I forget which state, I believe it was Georgia, you can fact check me on it, Homeland Security tried to hack into the election votes and got blocked. Homeland Security in the United States, not Russia. So then they said that Russia hacked the DNC and the big leaked emails from WikiLeaks were Russian. Oh, WikiLeaks is Russian, Julian Assange Russian. So they said that they hacked the DNC servers to get John Podesta's emails. Only problem is when the FBI came to get their server to be like, hey, let's investigate and see if Russia hacked your server, they wouldn't give the FBI their servers. So they never even handed over their servers. They said, Russia hacked us, but you're not allowed to check. You're not allowed to even look to see if they hacked us. I mean, major red flag to anybody who's paying attention. Lots of left-leaning people know this. Pretty much all right-leaning people know this already. They didn't give over their servers. There was a WISP. It was a bunch of intelligence community people from the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA who are retired who did an independent investigation and found out that the leaks actually came from inside. And once again, from internally, not from externally in Russian. And this was mainstream news. It was in The Nation. It was in Salon. It was like all over the news. They just put the big lie out for a year, and then they put the truth like, oh, we didn't even hand over our servers. So the whole Russia conspiracy started on the fact that they said that Russia hacked their servers, and they have no proof whatsoever and wouldn't even let the FBI check to see if it's proof. And then moving forward, they've lied about almost everything. They said, oh my God, Russia hacked the electric power grid. And this is, you don't have to like or hate Donald Trump to realize, okay, everything they're accusing Donald Trump and his team of doing, they've done times 50. So they said Russia hacked the power grid. Turns out that was a fake Washington Post story. They said Russia's influencing the media. Oh, how are they influencing the media? They put out a bunch of these like nothing burger stories calling like every single American journalist who doesn't agree with them Russian. They put out a thing. They investigated Alex Jones and Breitbart for being Russian. Regardless whether you like or hate them, they're American, like as American as apple pie type people. They're not Russian. They put out this story that Russia hacked Facebook and that there's so many Russian ads. Turns out all of the ads, you can Google this, it's CNN News. They were black activist ads. They were pro-Muslim women ads. They were anti-Trump protests. And there was like $5 worth of ads to Bill O'Reilly fans talking about Trump is Jesus. And I mean, they're acting like this is a bombshell story. I reached more people with one video than the Russians reached in a year, and most of their advertising was anti-Trump. So that was a major lie. So every time they lie, they go on to another story. Meanwhile, we found out as all this is going on, they're saying, whoa, Russia hacked this, they hacked that, and then their story keeps losing and losing and losing and losing, and then they keep changing the story. Donald Trump Jr. met with a Russian lawyer who's like the pop star's manager. It's like, whoa, people know Russians. What a bombshell story. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton, as the Secretary of State under the Obama administration, helped put together a deal that was signed off by 9 people. There's people saying, oh, it never happened, whatever. There's many reports that say $130+ million flowed to her foundation on a quid pro quo backdoor deal. But what is undebatable and undeniable is, under Hillary and Obama, the United States sold 20% of the U.S.'s uranium, which is used to make nuclear weapons of sorts. 20% of the U.S.'s uranium sent off to Russia. They sold the United States uranium to Russia just for a year later to make the whole United States act like we're at war with Russia. Conveniently, they wanted to start a war with Russia. Donald Trump got in office, didn't want to start a war with Russia. So what did they do using the mainstream media and past politicians? They started their own war with Russia that they wanted to start. They threw a big fit. And this type of stuff, if we don't understand this, if we don't understand that past politicians have enabled slave trade and organ harvesting to be a 2017 thing instead of like a 1700s thing, I mean, what are we really doing here? Are we trying to satisfy our egos to hate Donald Trump? It's getting ridiculous. And onto the Michael Flynn stuff, which was the huge story now. What happened with Michael Flynn? After a year of lying, CNN said Trump's crazy for saying that his team's getting spied on and Trump Tower's getting wiretapped. Trump's a lunatic. Trump's a madman. For somebody who's been left-leaning my whole life, watching liberal media like Bill Maher and Rachel Maddow, it's almost like a parody of themselves. They're a parody of themselves. It looks like an SNL skit. They're using these basic truths that everybody knows is true, and they're acting like it's this wild claim just because Donald Trump said, Donald Trump said water's healthy for babies. Like, whoa, like, I mean, you shouldn't give too much water to babies. It's how dumb they are. Meanwhile, after lying all year about saying he's kooky for saying that they hacked Trump Tower, wiretapped Trump Tower, they had to pretty much report what I'm reporting right now a couple months ago and say, it's true, Trump Tower was wiretapped. He was right the whole time. Manafort got wiretapped and Flynn got wiretapped. So this whole Flynn story that they're trying to make a big deal. He had a meeting with a Russian ambassador. The meeting was completely legal. He's the national security advisor, the incoming NSA advisor. So he's meeting with the Russian person that he's supposed to meet with. They're wiretapping him, basically illegally. They're using all of these claims that don't even exist, using the FISA courts to listen in on his meeting. So he had this meeting, and then he had a meeting with the FBI. The meeting's totally legal. The FBI and Mike Pence said, hey, what did you say in that meeting? And Flynn's like, hey, I said this and this and this and this. But they were actually listening in on his meeting, so they knew what he really said. He misrepresented what he actually said, and that's what the big charges are now. They illegally wiretapped him, or possibly legally, but most likely illegally wiretapped him, to find out that what he said in the legal meeting was not quite what he said, and they're acting like that's the bombshell story. This is how ridiculous. It's how ridiculous the news is, and they want you to think that Trump's colluding with Russia because 50 of their stories completely collapsed. They actually sold 20% of the United States uranium to Russia and quite possibly received $130 million directly to their foundations for it. Everything that they accused Donald Trump of doing, they do themselves. Our whole government for the past 10 and 15 years has been so boring. Politics has been boring. There's many reports that are years old that say they purposely made politics so boring so no one paid attention, and it worked. Under, the Clintons and the Bushes and the Clintons and the Bushes and the Obamas, no one was paying attention. I mean, Obama was a really funny, cool, smart guy, so he was like the first one that kind of got people's attention, but he was always distracting people like, wow, I'm playing basketball, and that's great, I'm not hating on it, but I wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. Meanwhile, they were all sold out to the weapons and arms industries. They're all sold out to the pharmacy industries. Hillary Clinton, there's reports that she got $10+ million from Saudi Arabia directly to her foundation. So when you talk about foreign governments being influenced in the election, they don't talk about China. They don't talk about Saudi Arabia because they lie about everything. They're acting like, whoa, Russia did everything wrong in the world. Meanwhile, there's mainstream reports coming out this week saying that China's using drone footage and drone data from like the most popular U.S. or Chinese drone company that sells in the U.S. and the Chinese government's taking all the data. So as you're focused on Russia, you got Chinese drones flying all over the U.S. and they're just sucking out the data, probably mapping out the whole U.S. if they don't already have a map of it, because Google has a map of the entire globe. I mean, they literally know everything, so it's too late for that. But anyway, everything about what they say is a lie. During the Bush administration and the Obama administration, there's mainstream news reports. Just like I put together this viral NASA video, just like a common sense video that has no conspiracies in it, they put this stuff out there and then they hope people are so dumb that they don't see it. But under the Bush and Obama administration, they lost trillions of dollars. They accused Donald Trump of being a big sellout, even though they have no proof that he's done anything but given all of his money from the presidency to like opioid crisis and this and that. He's giving all his money away, losing money. Forbes, he dropped down like 30+ ranks on the Forbes list. He's losing his money to help the United States. And their story, oh, he's enriching himself. Trillions of dollars. I'm not even talking about billions. Trillions of dollars. It's a Washington Post mainstream. Oh, well, we were doing the taxes and trillions of dollars were missing from our annual budget, whatever. I mean, this is the type of stuff they've been doing for 15 years because no one's paying attention. They were trying to do the same thing they did to Libya and Syria, and no one's paying attention. How do you still think this is about a woman or a person of color? It has nothing to do with that. They use race, religion, and gender to completely shield us, because they know if I'm Latino or I'm white or I'm this or I'm a woman and that I'll vote for somebody who looks just like me or sounds just like me or who I think's a part of my community. They use puppets like that to completely blind our view with everything. Every single thing they've accused Donald Trump of doing. And I'm not a Trump, oh, he's perfect. Sometimes I look at what he says and his actions and I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty wild. I wouldn't have said that myself, but is his words hurting my feelings a big story as losing trillions of dollars? And it's a mainstream article. I mean, I just did a video about how NASA says they've gotten over $1 trillion from the U.S. government, and they don't have the technology, they don't have the footage, and they don't have the data from the moon landing. And, oh, we had to rewrite over our tapes because we were running out of tapes and the money's low. Your $18 billion budget a year, money's running low, and you can't buy a tape? I'll go to CVS and buy a tape for you for $10. I mean, it's a complete joke that you had to rewrite over tapes because you didn't have enough tapes. So fake. Everything that they talk about is ridiculous. And every bombshell story they talk about on CNN and MSNBC is not a bombshell story. Even down to like whoa, breaking news, this happened in Hollywood. Okay, that's not great, but times 100, times 1,000 is happening all over the place. They were trying to do what they did in Libya in Syria. Trump reversed the policy. You had John McCain, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. Literally, many reports coming from Tulsi Gabbard. Once again, what I'm about to tell you is not a conspiracy theory. It's not, I didn't see it on, whatever you want to say. It's not a right-wing conspiracy. This comes from Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who is a Democrat. She's an ex-veteran, and she's a surfer. She went to Syria, and she came back on CNN, said right to Jake Tapper's face, United States taxpayer dollars under the Obama and Hillary administration are going directly to terrorists. We're giving money to terrorists. We're giving arms to terrorists. We're giving weapons to terrorists. That's already obvious. You look at whether it's Africa or the Middle East, everybody's fighting with U.S. weapons. We're selling weapons to everybody. Barack Obama gave, $20+ million in weapons to Israel. And then, hours before he was out of office, he gave $200+ million to Palestine. We're funding both sides of the wars, folks. And in Syria, they were funding moderate rebels. And Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, among many independent journalists, have said that there's no such thing as moderate rebels. If there are, they almost always succumb to Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, and ISIS. So when the U.S. government says, whoa, we're going to bring democracy to Syria, we're going to bring democracy to Libya, what they really mean is we're going to fund the same terrorists we act like we're going to stop. We're going to fund terrorist organizations. Those terrorist organizations are going to overthrow the president, and even if they're not terrorist organizations, we're going to give it to some rebel group, overthrows the leader, and then who's going to take over? The little rebel group that you funded, or literal terrorists who have way more, people and weapons and whatnot? So they did this in Libya. And I'll say it 1,000 times, because until I see it on CNN, until I see it on MSNBC, until I see it all over in Washington Post and New York Times, and I see it blasted out to us on Facebook every single day, like the fake stories they push every single day. Every day it's a nothing burger, nothing burger, nothing burger, nothing burger, nothing burger, nothing burger. They push out the dumbest, fakest stories, and you don't even have to like President Trump to know this. But if you dislike President Trump so much that you'll believe everything he does is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, you're going to enable slave trade to just go unnoticed. In 2017, this is disgusting stuff, folks, because the mainstream news won't talk about anything. They won't have these hard conversations. They won't talk these blunt truths because it goes directly against their strategy of lying to everybody for the past 20+ years. Why would they tell people the truth now? It's a house of cards. They've been stacking up lie, 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 lie. And in a large portion of it, they're probably part of the big scheme. They're probably part of the big chessboard. It's not a coincidence they lie. They know exactly what they're doing. So this type of stuff, why is this not the bombshell story on Facebook or Twitter? Literal slavery, literal slave trade exists because of failed policies from Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. They went in and killed Gaddafi, and Gaddafi not saying he was a perfect leader, but he was giving his people health care. He was giving everybody a house. He was moving to a gold-backed currency, and he was going to give each citizen a piece of that currency. And they kill him. They admitted they killed him. It's not like a conspiracy. This is real life. It really happened. Everybody knows it. And all of a sudden, now it's not a big deal. Like, oh, well, whatever. I mean, but Trump said this crazy tweet. You're talking about a whole country that has been devastated, and they were trying to do it to Syria. Guess what? I have friends in Syria. I know people that have family in Syria, and this might be a nothing burger to some people. You turn on your Netflix, you turn on your Hulu, you watch the fake movie that they put out about the real story, and then you're like, oh, it doesn't exist, even though that whole movie you just watched is based off the reality that exists in real life today. But they were trying to do the same thing they did in Libya in Syria. Kill the democratically elected leader using humanitarian, oh, well, he hurt his own people. He did chemical weapons and he attacked his own people. Guess what? We're not the world police, and if we're going to be the world police, at least do a good job of it. You can't kill a leader with no solution. They've lied in almost every situation. They've told us we're going to bring democracy to other countries. We don't even have democracy here. We have a fake media. We have a bunch of phony politicians. We have a bunch of, every single day, people are misinformed to the point where nobody knows what's going on, and every single thing they've accused Donald Trump of doing, every single thing, they've done times 50. Do I think Donald Trump is perfect? No. Do I think he should be criticized? Yes. Do I think he's going to make mistakes? Yes. Do I think he should be held accountable for his mistakes? Yes. But we can't go trying to overthrow and impeach Donald Trump for doing like this much of nothing when there's past politicians who have done the biggest war crimes in the 21st century, affected millions of people, millions of lives, millions of dollars, millions of people in America, millions of people in the Middle East, slavery, corruption, terrorist organizations growing and growing and growing and growing. I mean, what a joke. I mean, how do you not know, regardless if you love, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, we have the largest military budget in the world. I say this all the time. It's what we're famous for. Our military budget's like times 10 of the next country in the next couple countries. 10 plus countries combined doesn't even equal our own military budget. And under the Obama administration with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, Al-Qaeda and ISIS started growing and growing and growing all over the Middle East. Like, we have the technology to basically Google mapped out the whole world. The whole world is mapped out on Google Maps, yet we don't know where the terrorist groups are. There's no way we could stop them. They're taking over Baghdad. They're taking over Damascus. They're taking over Aleppo. They're all over Syria. We don't know what to do. We can't go back to the moon. We lost the technology. Meanwhile, the whole world is mapped out. We have the location, the GPS for like everywhere, everything, everywhere. And this stuff is so ridiculously obvious. And the only thing that they have stopping people from realizing all of this stuff, the fact that they're losing trillions of dollars under the last two administrations, the fact that they're the ones colluding with foreign governments and with the arms companies and with the pharmaceutical companies and with lobbyists all over the U.S. and all over the world, the fact that we already have a foreign influence. I mean, the whole Al Jazeera is based in Qatar. The whole news organization isn't a United States news organization. They banned RT, but they won't tell you that, Al Jazeera is from Qatar. They won't tell you that a lot of Saudis have large stakes in Fox News corporations and Twitter, and that, George Soros puts $8 billion into his Open Society Foundation to fund activist groups. I mean, this type of stuff is what always goes unnoticed, and I want to get to the root of the problem. And that's the problem with the news, and that's the problem with blaming Trump. He's like the silver lining. He's the surface of what's going on, and if you want to get to the truth, if you want to act like eating 2 scoops of ice cream is the bombshell story, and whoa, his national security advisor met with a Russian. If you think that's the bombshell story, and you're not going to understand the war crimes and the corruption of the last 10 and 15 years, be prepared for 8 years of Donald Trump. Be prepared for a very rude awakening, because a lot of things that people believe to be true are just huge illusions that were never true to begin with. I mean, these politicians have been protected by the mainstream media like PR companies. You have people posting pictures of their families like, whoa, scandal-free presidency. There's nothing they did. And it's like, did you hear what anyone has been saying about Libya? The fact that they're literally trading slaves there because of failed policies. And somehow You're never going to see it on Facebook. It's not going to be featured. You're not going to see it on Twitter. You're not going to see it on 95% of news. And then they'll convince you that everything on Fox News is terrible because Fox will be the only one that'll cover it, or I'll cover it and they'll say I'm Russian, or, you know, a progressive will cover it like Jimmy Dore, or someone who's left-leaning but doesn't lie all the time, and they'll be like, oh yeah, he's working with Russia. This is how ridiculous and dishonest. I could talk about it all day, but do a little research, try to analyze the news, try to have conversations with people, and you might just realize, wow, Donald Trump, I still may not like him, maybe I love him, maybe I hate him, but everything that they've accused him of doing and everything I found that he's done, they've done times 1,000. So if you really care about stopping the corruption and the crime and the slavery and the mental slavery and the media manipulation and the propaganda, you need to know the cause of it. And Obama overturned an Anti-Propaganda Act in 2012, which hadn't been around for 40 years. So if you think there's an overflow of propaganda now, like I'm saying, it's because it's literally legal now because they overturned that act. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'm going to post my links below, my email list. It's free to sign up. It takes 5 seconds. I'm going to post my donation link if you would like to support. If not, your likes, shares, comments, subscribes, whatever. I guess it would be a like, not a subscribe. Shares, comments, messages, they mean the world to me, but also donations help as well. It keeps me fueled. You know, I'm single 100% for fueled by the people. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm a little tired. And yeah, you know, I don't have hundreds or thousands of desks and employees, but that type of stuff keeps me going and able to do live streams like this and continue to feed you, you know, this perspective. So also check out my video. It's blowing up right now about the moon landing. NASA admitted that they lost the technology, the data, and the footage of the original moon landing. Pretty interesting stuff. It's unbiased, bipartisan, doesn't matter what you believe politically. I mean, it's something that we should all consider and move on from there. Thank you guys so much.